Hello, hello, and welcome to the Rhobin Knits podcast. This is episode 7. It's been a while, so I do have a lot of things to catch up with, and I hope you enjoy this episode. It has been a while since I sat down to do a proper podcast, and so I decided I'll do one today. I just finished filming my spring knitting plans, and I thought I'll just use the rest of my energy to finish this and upload it sometime in the following week. Now, I have been coming off a period of cold and sore throat, so if you can hear it, I'm really sorry, and I hope you will be patient with me if you hear it or if I cough in between. I'll start off with my only finished object, which is my Felix cardigan. It's technically not mine. I'm going to be gifting this, but I wanted to show it to you before I did. I'll also insert a few pictures over here after I've gone and taken pictures of these. This is a very, very beginner friendly pattern by Amy Christophers. It took about, if I have to say how many days I actually worked on it, it was 5 days, but I actually took close to 21 days to work on this pattern. For some reason, working on this pattern was a challenge. I had to constantly talk myself into sitting down and working on this pattern, but I'm hoping the receiver enjoys it. This is made from wool of the Andes. The actual pattern, the actual garment, the sample garment was made from Green Mountain Spinnery, but I did not use the same yarn. I used wool of the Andes tweed. This is the colorway Rabbit Heather. The yarn itself is a little itchy. It's a little prickly, but I think as your body warms to it, it feels better, because when I first put it on, I did feel that. I'm just wearing a slip underneath and not a t-shirt, but I think with the t-shirt it should absolutely be okay. Now, the Felix cardigan, the highlight of the cardigan is actually lace work that would go down the raglan. This one does not have that, because the person that this is intended for asked me not to add any lace work in it, and so I decided not to do any. The second modification I wanted to do was adding embroidery along the button band, but then the receiver again said they would not want that. They just want a simple plain cardigan in a neutral color, and so I decided to forego the embroidery once again. I am hoping I do get to do that embroidery modification sometime in my spring or summer knitting patterns, but that is something that has been growing. The idea has been growing on my mind, and I hope to get to it sometime soon. Now, this is a very, very airy gauge. The yarn is worsted weight, but I used 6mm needles, and so this is a very airy open gauge, a very fast knit, and because you don't have to think too much, after the raglan is just regular knitting back and forth, and you're just putting on to measure if it is okay, if the length is okay, and then blocking in between. So it's not too much of work, it's not too much of thinking, so it's a very mindless knit, and you have a wonderful cardigan at the end of it. I like this pattern so much that I do want to make one for myself sometime soon. I know it's not going to be this year, at least, unless things change. I have too much planned for this year, too much actually scheduled and lined up, and a few knitting requests as well. A lot of gift knitting, so I know I'm not going to have time for this. I'll have to wait and see if I can do this next year for myself. The person who requested it in a very neutral color, either beige or brown, and so I picked this. This yarn, when I picked, was on a sale last year. Knitpicks has an annual big sale. It's literally called the Big Sale. They have one in, I know it's before the American Thanksgiving. So during that time they had a sale, and that's when I picked this yarn. The actual cost of the yarn is $5 point some US dollars. I'll put a cost of it here, but then I picked each ball for $3.29 US dollars, and I used about 8 balls of this yarn. In Canadian dollars, it came up to $35.63, which I feel is pretty okay for a cardigan. This is knit a little longer than my typical size because this is a cropped cardigan, but the person I've knit this for is a very tall person, so it's going to be okay. Even the sleeves are very long, and I'm hoping this would be long enough for them. If she has an issue with the sleeves being short, I would volunteer to take it back and rip back the ribbing, make it longer, and do the ribbing again for her. So that's the Felix cardigan. I'm so happy it's over, and I know that this is a very doable cardigan. I know that if I want to make major modifications, make my own lace modifications or add color work, if I learn to do it and not in the round but flat, I would probably use this pattern to make those modifications. Moving on to works in progress, the first one I want to talk about is the sibling sweater by Laura Penrose. Now this is the first of a set of 3 sweaters that I wanted to make this year. This is for a bunch of siblings, so there are 3 in the family and each of them get 1 sweater, and I did not want to give one person one and not give the other, so all of them are going to get 1 each this year, and nothing else for a long time. So I wanted to keep the main color as the same color, which is gonna be Horacha Heather by Knit Picks 12 fingering. I do have a lot of this yarn, which is why this has been a common recurrence. For the first sweater, this is the size for a 12-year-old. I'm using shades of green, so I picked all of my sock yarn in shades of green. Most of this is Zurilla sock yarn. Long ago, not long ago, 2 years ago, I had ordered the Halloween countdown yarn, and honestly I did not like any of these, but I guess it's because I did not see the big picture. But now when I put it together, I'm starting to appreciate each of the colors. Yes, they are moody and probably a little dark for my taste, but I really like how they're working up into, when you put them together, I really like the palette. This yarn though is from Hedgehog Fibers. It's leftovers from a sock, so I just have the leftovers caked up here. Oh, I don't know if I'm showing it correctly. They're caked up here, so these are all the colors that were in green, and I've started working on that. And the second sweater I'm hoping to make in blue and green, and the third sweater I want to make more in oranges and yellows and probably a little bit of red. So that is my color plan. If you look at this palette, I felt it was getting a little darker, especially for a child who's 12. I feel the colors are too mature, and so I decided to add some sparkles. I'll do that a little later. I need to find the right place to add, maybe add embroidery on top. Embroidery again. I just want to do her name or something like that in one corner of the sweater, just to add a little bit of interest, because I do feel it's a little boring. Or just add some buttons, maybe puppy buttons or something on the side like a brooch, or I need to think about this, but I do feel I need to make that modification to make it feel more appealing and likable. The other sweaters, I'll talk about it, the other sibling sweaters, I'll talk about it as I get to it. But this year I think is going to be my year of stripes. I've already made the Hepatica sweater. There are going to be 3 sibling sweaters. I am going to make a direction loop sweater. I am gonna make another tee. So a lot of the plans are going to be stripes, and I decided I'll just get immersed in stripes and just enjoy the process of knitting in stripes, and probably learn a few techniques like the jogless stripes, and also want to see if I can incorporate stripes into sock. So this is going to be my year of stripes. My next work in progress is my baby bear cardigan. It's supposed to be a onesie, but it's turned into a cardigan. So I've got the hood done, I've got the body done, sleeves and the ribbing to go, and I'm hoping to get it done before I talk to you the next time. I had put this on ice for a while there was lack of motivation for sure, but I also had to make a few decisions about whether I wanted this to be a onesie, or I just wanted this to be a regular cardigan. And I decided it's gonna be a regular cardigan because we're going into spring and then into summer, so the parents can use this more as a layering piece for the baby, and they don't have to actually use this as a onesie. It might be too hot. The yarn though is acrylic yarn, but that does not mean the yarn is summer friendly, and so I would think it's better to just use it as a layering piece and nothing more. So that is the baby bear cardigan. The next project I wanted to talk about is a test knit. This test knit is for John Rhobin, and this is called, it's just called a cable shawl, but it is by Julie, I want to see who the designer, it is by Jewel Kibbleman, and it's a very pretty shawl. I'll show what I have so far. I don't know if I can show, but I'm going to show because it does not have too much of the design work to do it yet. So I can talk a little about the concept, the design of the shawl, and when it's ready to be released, I'll probably show the finished shawl. So this is what it's looking like right now. I like how pretty the scallops look at the bottom. It's a very, very subtle scallop. Look, I don't know if you can actually make it out. It's a very subtle scallop, and then the whole border is first worked. So the first half of it is a lace pattern and the second half of it is cables. So you work the whole border and then go on to pick up stitches to work the body of the shawl, and the body of the shawl is mosaic knitting. So I decided initially to use the leftovers of my spring fling sweater. So I've got this and I've got this ready to go. So this would be the border in the main color, this would be the contrast color, was what I was thinking. But I am now rethinking it. I feel, I'm sorry about the sound, I do feel that it would look better if I made it in these colors. I feel it would also look a little more like spring, and I've been wanting to use this yarn as well, and I feel this would be a good opportunity because I could probably make something more with the pink and the beige. It's going to be easier to knit for somebody else. Those are not really bright standout colors, but these I could probably knit for myself. So I'm thinking I'll switch the yarn to this. This is Goodwill from Pearl Soho. I know this is in the colorway Fern Green, yes, and this is an undyed colorway. I actually bought this for it to be a contrast color in one of the sweaters I planned for Sam later this year, but I decided to borrow some. I know I don't need, I've got 2 skeins of this. I know I don't need 2 whole skeins for his sweater, so I've decided to borrow some from this, and I wouldn't be using the whole skein for this shawl either. So I decided to borrow some from this to use for the shawl. I'm yet to make a decision. I think swatching is the best way to go, and I don't know if I want to swatch again, but I've got to if I want to change my mind. And so this is something I've got to make a decision about. I don't know if I've got to continue that or rip it apart and start from this. So that is something I would have an update for you by the next time we talk. The next work in progress is the Perfect Knit Tee. Whoops. The Perfect Knit Tee by Caitlin Berthold. I have replaced one of my Make 9s, which was the Cozy Classic Cardigan, no, Cozy Classic Light. It's not a cardigan, it is a top. I really like it. I wanted to make it, but I just feel that when I look at the structure, the silhouette, I know it has decreases in the waist and you have an option to opt out of it, but I just feel like it is for a more slender person, and I feel I'm not ready to try that yet. Maybe next year I'll try it. If I'm comfortable with the silhouette and I feel like I can still go with it, I'll probably try it, but as of now I decided not to do it. Instead, I picked the Perfect Knit Tee. Now, one of the reasons I also wanted to make this pattern, and I wanted it in white, was for me to throw it over summer dresses, and I just wanted it to be like a layer or cover up. My summer dresses, some of them are strappy, most of them are sleeveless, and while it's okay, sometimes it gets chilly and windy, and I did want something to just throw on over the dress. So I decided to make something in white. And the other reason I did not pick the Cozy Classic Light pattern is also because it's snug and I wanted it over a dress. I wanted it oversized, and I felt the perfect knit tee would be a better way to go. So this is what it's looking like so far. This is made using, it is Go Handmade Soft Bamboo. It is made with 70% bamboo, 23% cotton, and 7% acrylic. I held it double for this project, and it seems okay, but I did a lot of modifications. The needle size recommended for this project is size 4. I've gone up to size 5 because I did want the drape, and I also wanted it to be a little airy. I did not have the courage to hold fingering weight one strand. Actually, I tried, but I think with the bamboo yarn, it was very slippery, very uncomfortable, and it was hurting my fingers. And so I decided to just rip it and then go on with just holding it double, and I increased the needle size to 5 to suit that. There is another modification I made. If you look at the finishings of the Perfect Knit Tee, it is I-cord finishings. I did the I-cord finishing for my Cumulus blouse last year, and while I like it on the neck, I did not like it at the edge, probably because I did it wrong. It kind of flares. I usually tuck it into a skirt, so it's not a problem, but I did not like the rolled feel of the I-cord edge. I don't know why, it feels very unfinished for me. So I decided to go on to just do a simple ribbing. It's a very, very narrow ribbing, and you can see how cropped this is. Again, because I'm going to be throwing this on over dresses, I wanted it to be pretty cropped. And I made in elbow length sleeve, so that's how long the sleeve is. I'm working on the second sleeve, and if I keep at it, it should be done in a couple of days, but you know how knitting with sleeves go, so it's been a little long. The original yarn that was recommended for this is Lion Brand Kubu, but even though I can find it, I wanted a knit out of stash, and so I decided to use this yarn. I don't think I'll be using it again, though the feel of the yarn is really nice. I've used the same yarn for my Cumulus tee, and I do not like how it wears. It's first of all a very, very splitty yarn, so when you are knitting, it is very, very normal for you to have pieces of it not, you have to be very conscious to make sure you are getting all, when you are putting your needle under the stitches, you are getting all the strands off the needle. Sometimes it is possible for the strands to just stay on the needle, and it could look very annoying in the finished product. So I don't think I'll be using this yarn again. Also, it creases and crumples really fast. I mean, it's cotton, it's expected, but somehow when I am thinking of knitwear, this yarn just does not feel right, so I don't think I'll be using this yarn again. I would probably go more for a bamboo merino blend compared to a cotton bamboo blend. And I think it's also the acrylic content in it. But this yarn is very affordable. I would consider it if I was making a baby knit in a darker color. The color ranges that this yarn comes in is pretty good, and that may be the only time I would consider this yarn, because you could throw it into the wash and not really worry about it as much. And when you do baby knits, that's something I think of all the time, just being able to throw it into the wash. This is another project that I started. It's a part of my Make 9, and I thought April would be a good month to make the April cardigan, so here we go. So this is my April cardigan. I am enjoying the knitting process so far. Original yarn suggested for this was Sandsgarn, held with tin silk mohair, but Sandsgarn Sunday held with tin silk mohair, but I have decided to go with Galileo, Knitfix Galileo, and I'm holding it with alpaca cloud lace. So this is the color. The Galileo one, I don't know if I can find the yarn to show you. Well, I'm at the end of the ball, so this is what the yarn looks like, the Galileo yarn. So both the colors together is actually giving me a very brick red color, and I like it. I like the texture it's giving me. I like the I like the general fabric it's giving me, and I'm very happy with how it's turning out. Even the process of knitting this cardigan was so pleasant. You start with the shoulder, and it's nice when a project is broken down into smaller parts and you feel like, ooh, one part of the project is done and you're moving on to the next. It really feels nice. So you start with the shoulder, you do very rapid increases, and you're increasing only for the collar at the same time, but otherwise you're increasing for the back. And then you start increasing for the sleeves, and then you start doing the raglans, and all the while you are consistently working on the neck to make sure the V of the cardigan is done as well. It can both be an intuitive knitting process, and it can also be a TV knitting process, as long as you are aware of how often you need to make the increases for the V-neck. And it's been very nice. I'm looking forward to finishing it and starting to wear it. A lot of my summer dresses again have Indian prints and motifs on them, which means they have a lot of browns, reds, deep like midnight black colors. So I'll see if I can post a few pictures of the prints on my dresses, and I know it's going to go very well with either a brown or a red cardigan. I'm glad I chose red because I feel I can wear it all year round, and it could also be festive in winter. So I'm looking forward to finishing this. So April is the month I would be finishing my April cardigan. There has been another test knit that I have been accepted into. It is the Movement Tee by Lily Kate France, and I am so glad she picked me. I looked at the t-shirt, I loved it, I applied for it immediately. I never expected to hear a response, and I got an email yesterday saying it was accepted for the test, and I am so happy about it. This t-shirt is a striped t-shirt pattern. I was debating between using Tin Silk Line. It's a DK weight pattern. So I was debating between using Tin Silk Line and holding it double, or using Knit Picks Gloss and just seeing how it goes. So I decided to use Knit Picks Gloss. Well, it's not a typical summer yarn, but at least it's got 50% silk and 50%, so it's got, sorry, 70% merino wool and 30% silk. And so I decided to go with it. I put all the Knit Pick Gloss colors in this just to see what works with what. I first thought I would make this as the main color. This is the colorway Robot, and then I thought I would use this and this alternatively as stripes. But I feel that would look like a very serious color, as in it would make it look more moody, but I wanted something more vibrant, and so I decided to stick to what I was seeing already. I wanted the blue to be the main color, and probably the gray to be the contrast color. I'm still debating between the gray and the pink, so it's either blue and pink or blue and gray, with blue being the main color and either of this being the contrast color. I'm still debating between those two. I'm yet to make up my mind, and once again I know swatching is the way to go, and I've got to do it. I'll probably do it sometime today or tomorrow. I would have more time this weekend. It's the long weekend, so I'm hoping I get some time to do it between today and tomorrow. The sample is actually made with Sandnes Garn Duo, and I think that is a mix of wool and cotton. I didn't want to again purchase the yarn, so I wanted to find something in my stash, and you can see how much of the yarn I already have, and I decided to stick to what I already have. The needle size is 3.75 millimeters, so I know I need to prioritize, because this tee and then the main body of the cable shawl, both of the test knits are on the same needle size, so I need to make sure that I finish one of them completely before starting the other, because I need that needle to be free, and I do not have two needles of the same size available as of now. I have one acquisition to share, and I am super excited about it. It is my copy of the Arctic Knits. I am so happy about it. I'll post pictures of what the patterns in here look like. There are 15 different patterns available. There are jumpers, there are hats and socks, and I am so excited about getting started. We almost moved to Nunavut this year, but things didn't work out and we decided to stay back. But just reading about what it feels like over there, what it looks like, and what life is like is so fascinating. And I think while it could be a challenge, it could be a difficult place, we could focus a lot on the difficulties of the place. This is a beauty that has come out of it, and I really love it. This is by the Petite Knitter, if I didn't tell that already. My Spring Fling sweater was the first pattern I made that was made by her. The only challenge I see is that most of her constructions are what do you call it? Round neck? Yeah, they have round neck, and I'm forgetting what you actually call that construction, where you have concurrent increases, and so it's a round yoke, I guess. And that is usually her way of doing things. All of the patterns are that way, and so the only challenge I see for myself is if I knit on her patterns only, I'm not going to learn a lot of different constructions and a lot of different techniques, and so I want to see if I can include other techniques into her pattern. I don't know about the ones in the book, but I know when I did the Spring Fling sweater, it did not have the short rows, and I do find a little difficulty of the Spring Fling sweater coming right up to here, and I have to keep tucking it down. If I use any of these patterns, that's something I would like to incorporate and make sure I make those changes. I'm just trying to see if there's anything else I wanted to talk about right now, but I don't think there is anything. I spoke about almost everything, and with that, I hope you stick around, and if you want to see any update of any of these projects that I'm making, I usually do a podcast every 2 weeks, or put out some video or the other every 2 weeks. The last one was a roundup of spring knitting patterns. I also put out one about my spring knitting plans and the yarns I'll be using for them, and I just went into a few of those details. So if you want to see how those projects are panning out, if I'm sticking to my plans or if I'm changing them, feel free to subscribe so you would be notified if there's a new video that comes out. And I hope you enjoyed this one. Thank you for letting me keep you company, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you for watching.